What's going on, guys? Welcome back from the F124 My Team Career Mode video. Today we have round 13 around Singapore. It's going to be a spicy qualifying. As you can see, it's already raining on the circuit, so I think we're probably going to be doing intermediate runs. There's almost no use in doing wet runs at all, but here is Q1. As you can see, the rain's not too bad. There's no massive puddles anywhere. This is actually my second run in Q1 because I absolutely bottled the first one. So I thought I'd show you the ones where I'm actually okay. There you go, half a second in the first two corners. Technically three, but alright. Through turn 5. Little bit of an oversteer moment there as we try and put the power down. Again, there's not much you can really do with a wet setup here compared to a dry setup because they're both 50-50 wings. So, not really looking for anything too crazy out of the setup at all, and there definitely won't be a big change for the race either. But overall, a pretty tidy lap so far, and actually purple sector 1, and even, what's that, is that a second and a half that we're going to get as we start to go into the Singapore sling here, and just try and avoid the wall on the inside, try and avoid the car from stepping out as you go over some of these curbs, especially around this section. And then spot your braking point, turn in as much as you can. I went a little bit deep there, but still 2.5 seconds up on our previous lap. So we pretty much absolutely will be through in Q1. Took way too much curb there, but clearly still better than our previous lap. It's still 50% battery left to go with only 2 very short straights and the run up to the line. Dip it down to 3rd, try and hit the apex as I try not to mount the curb of the second part of that chicane, turn 17, just purely because it can spit your car out slightly. So 3.5 seconds improvement, and that's a P1 for Q1. So pretty decent pace there. Let's see if that kind of carries on throughout the rest of qualifying as we go into Q2. Again, only 1 lap here for us in Q2. I do it a lot in career mode, just sort of try and do the 1 lap, preserve the tyres, and yeah, it just makes my recording a little bit quicker as well. Especially right now, we need it because we've only got a few weeks until F125 comes out as we go a little bit deep down in turn 5. Again, I kind of did the same in Q1 as well, but I don't think it hampered us that much. Yeah, just a personal best as you'd expect for a first lap in qualifying, but yeah, I mean, I can't really fault my performance here, and I think going into F125, I kind of hope that the handling model is somewhat similar, but just with improvements and evolutions made, just to try and make it a bit more like real life, as I was extremely close on the inside wall there. Almost, not George Russell, because Russell hit the other wall when he went for a gap that existed. If you know, you know. But yeah, you've really just got to push the limits around here. Try and spot your braking points and try not to lock the car, especially in the wet conditions. That was a much better run through turn 14 there. And now the non-existent turn 15. Spot your braking point around 80, 75 meters, something like that for me at the moment. Again, that inside curb does unsettle the car slightly, but a pretty decent run, I have to say. It's looking like it's going to be a 1:38.4, which is just behind our teammate, which I believe is good enough for Q3, which it is. So now, this is where it counts. Everything else is all about just kind of surviving that session and getting through. Now it's about grid position. So this is where we really should care about lap time. We dip it down into 2nd gear, then 3rd, 4th, 5th, putting the battery on. You could hear the wheels trying to spin, even in 5th and 6th gears. We get a little bit deep, but actually some decent rotation in the second part of the corner, and basically just burn the battery all the way down here, braking about 100 meters, keeping the car straight, and then turning in, really trying to maximize the traction, not let the back end step out too far. A nice bit of rotation there again. There's something here in my driving that is improving for sure. I feel like I can see it. I don't know if you guys can see it at all. Again, get as close as you can there to the wall, but I feel like there's just almost more comfortable, if that makes sense. in the way that I can handle corners and brakings. We almost have a massive spin under brakes, as I was talking about how I feel like my braking was improving, but I didn't spin, so I guess that's the improvement. But here we go, final sector now. Only a few more corners to go and a lot of battery to burn. There's a few people already setting some fastest laps there, Max Verstappen being one of them, George Russell being another, 36.8. And where are we going to set up in this lap of Q3? You never know, I could have done another lap in Q3 after this to really get up the order, but we crossed the line in a 1:36.9, which is good enough for P4 at that point in time. But it is that time where we go through the starting grid. I didn't get pole, it was George Russell beating Max Verstappen by just less than a tenth for P1 on the grid. And again, in wet conditions, I'm not sure what's going to happen during a dry race. Lance Stroll third, ourselves fourth, followed by Ricciardo, our teammate Leclerc, then Gasly, Sainz, Magnussen, Esteban Ocon, Yuki Tsunoda and Lando Norris in P12, Sergio Perez, then Piastri, Alonso, Dennis Hauger, Alex Albon, Zhou Guanyu, Sargent, Pourchaire, and then the fight for the wooden spoon is Nico Hülkenberg and Lewis Hamilton, who does have a grid penalty. But there's a few cars out of order there. I don't know if you noticed. There was Norris down in 12th, and there was also the McLarens further down the order as well.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
Thank you, Mark. That was very nice of you to say. But now for strategy. We're not doing a particularly long race, so yeah, I tend to run 35% races, so it's a pretty straightforward strategy. We're going to go medium soft, and it looks like the AI are going soft medium. All the lights are on. Now they're out as we go racing here, trying to get the best start as we dare, really. Ricciardo gets a pretty decent launch, and so does Leclerc, as we're now 3 wide. Had to take to the escape road there a little bit and let them back past, just so I didn't get any penalties. Again, trying to keep it sort of in line with real life, you know. I don't want the game to just not give me a penalty for, well, cutting the corner essentially and claiming the positions. But pretty decent start. The two at the front, actually, Russell and Verstappen, already running away from the pack. As then it's Lance Stroll, Leclerc, and then myself. So I don't want to battle too much if we're going to let the leaders get away. Again, we have a good chance here to take some points away from Ferrari. Bit of a scary start, being 3 wide with Stroll and Leclerc, I believe it was at the time. And you can just see that the confidence I have in the car through the Singapore sling is insane. Here, not so much at the moment in this part of the race. We go a little bit deep, almost running into the back of our teammate, which is not what you want to do at all. But we're already on lap 4, so those softs ahead of us are going to start to die pretty quickly. And I don't want to get stuck behind our teammate in Stroll if we can potentially help our teammate out and get after the guys in P1 and P2. So potentially a little bit of a look here around the outside. Not gonna work there, I don't think, because we lose the back end slightly and Leclerc keeps the position for now. But now I need to keep in mind, don't fight your teammate too much, because all that's going to happen, as it is already, Stroll is going to get up the road as we go around the outside of Leclerc in turn 1, but I do go off the circuit, so I'm going to let him back through again, and he gives us a little love tap just to kind of give us a warning, like, hey, you might be my boss, but, you know, race fair, and fair is how I will race, as we're now just going to use the DRS. Easy she goes, around the outside, braking 100 meters, but no problem at all. What we have to focus on now, though, is getting after Lance Stroll. So we got past Leclerc. That was easy. DRS move. No biggie. We've got to drag Leclerc with us, get after the Aston Martin, and, yeah, hopefully drag Leclerc with us. That's the whole goal right now, is get after those top 2. If you look in the bottom left, Russell and Verstappen they're battling, but they're getting away. Russell is 4 seconds up the road from us as we have a massive moment. I almost didn't clock that. I was looking at the timing board in the top left, but we just keep DRS to Lance Stroll. And I mean, it kind of helped, if anything. I'm going to say I planned that because Leclerc stayed in DRS there, and he's probably going to stay within DRS now. because of my mistake. So you're welcome, I guess. I don't really know what to say there. I'm just trying to make excuses, as always. And yeah, easy DRS move again. Online Stroll, nothing really he can do about that, as we almost go a little bit too deep into turn 7, I believe. And again, almost locking the tyres in different parts of the track. We locked up in turn 7. We locked up slightly into turn 8. I'm just going to check my brake bias and change that. Put it a little bit more to the front so that I'm not risking locking up and spinning, because that is something I really don't want to do in this race. We've got the tyre advantage at the moment, being on the mediums. The softs are definitely going off, although Stroll has absolutely nailed that section and is staying right with us. And with a bit of help of DRS, he does get close, but he's just not really got the speed that we have in the engine here. And now, yeah, it's just all about trying to get the most pace we can out of this car, which is potentially why I started locking up, as there's yellow flags out in Sector 3. Someone is going slowly. Is it an Aston Martin? It's not. It's actually the same colour dot as ours. And I think that means that our teammate Charles Leclerc is going to be out of this race, which is really not ideal. There's your confirmation. Charles Leclerc out of this session. And that's a huge blow for our Constructors' Championship. We're going to be hopefully taking some points away from Ferrari today. And yeah, if we could have had both cars scoring big points, that would have been massively helpful for our kind of claim to the title in Season 2 of my team. So, as you can probably see, what a pause. What a time to pause. Oh, I was just about to talk about the pits and how we're in a really good position because everyone else had pitted and we hadn't, and we were just building a tyre delta. But I went and did, yeah, an absolute bottle job. There you go. I was kind of mentioning before about locking the rears and stuff like that and how it could be a problem. And then it was a problem. It wasn't really a locking rear though, but it was a traction issue, also known as a skill issue. But we've lost our front wing. We're still in the race, thankfully. That would have been a huge blow if we were out of the race and Leclerc was out of the race as well. But now we're just going to have a long pit stop. Isn't ideal. We lost about 10 seconds under the spin alone, and then another 5 seconds or so because of the longer pit stop. So we're going to be pretty far down the order here, I think. But there's a lot of people actually on hards as well. I don't know if you've been looking in the top left as well, as we give the wall a little bit of a nudge. I think that pit exit is the worst pit exit in Formula 1. It's horrible. But yeah, there's, I mean, Hauger, Sargent, they're on hards. Hamilton, Albon ahead of us, they're on mediums. We're on brand new softs for the next 6 laps of this race. And I think I saw a bunch of people, maybe not in the top 10, but in and around the top 10, that were all on hard tyres. And they've also been on the hard tyres probably for about 4 to 6 laps at this point now. Maybe longer than that. So they've got some wear on them. It won't be much, but the tyre delta alone is going to be huge if we can get a good launch from this restart, as the safety car's peeling into the pit lane now. And we just got to try and jump these cars as quickly as we can. As Albon gets underway around the final corner, we upshift a bit too early, which does dampen our run, but we've got all the battery in the world. They're going to bundle up in the front, and we're just going to send it down the inside. Easy as that. Can we get around the outside of the Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton? Not quite, as he kind of shuts down that idea very aggressively. But I don't think he's going to stop us into turn 7. Memorial corner. There's no chance. He's definitely going to have a memory of this. This absolute send as we just under brakes. He almost turns in completely. I don't think we really deserve the space, but thankfully he had the awareness to just turn out of it a little bit on the apex there. And now we just need to go. We're in P14. 5 laps to go, including this one. Is now you can look at the tyre advantage we have on Ocon. We could have taken ourselves out of the race just by driving around the corner. Look at that down the inside of turn 13 there, and job done. Just, you can see it clear as day, the advantage we have on these tyres, as I almost go into the barrier there. I think, who was it that did that a year or two ago? Maybe it was Norris? I'm not sure, I can't remember, but tyre advantage? Yes, there's a big tyre advantage. If you don't need any, if you need any other evidence, I don't know what I can do to help, because that's insane. To dive bomb from that far back on a Ferrari in that corner specifically, where the braking point's at 75 meters. I don't know how to explain it anymore. We've got an incredible opportunity in this race now, all from a safety car that we caused. No one comment Crashgate. Okay, it wasn't to help out my teammate. My teammate was out as we go round the outside of the McLaren of Fernando Alonso, which I don't think I'll ever get used to. That was scary. I don't think I'll ever get used to saying Fernando Alonso in the McLaren. But we absolutely sent it down the inside of Perez there. That was, wow, it was thumbnail worthy, really, wasn't it? Let's be honest. But again, look at the speed that we've got. The speed. I am speed. Lightning McQueen. We're going to go round the outside now of Oscar Piastri just to assert our dominance and get in the bin. That is just, I think two effects are happening here. So my confidence is now extreme on the softs, just purely from the amount of grip. The tyre wear that Piastri will have on his mediums is not going to help him at all. And we were on the racing line, and I think that's about it. What was the other thing I was thinking about? I have no idea. But fastest lap. There you go. That's something I can talk about, as we now in P8, 3 laps to go. Again, Verstappen and Russell, it seems, have been pulling away massively at the front ahead of the 2 Aston Martins, which I believe are now by themselves. One of them is Pierre Gasly, our old teammate, so we can't have him beating us in this race. Are we going to send it on Tsunoda? Not this time. Maybe this time, as we get a decent exit compared to the RB, and just given the space, but he does back out of it in the end, which is what we like to see. A little bit out of shape there, but overall in a really good place. Lap 19 of 22 now. Kevin Magnussen's up next on the mediums. Again, just so much overspeed, so much braking confidence, and the move is done. But we're losing touch with Norris, who is actually chasing down Stroll now. And again, we have to do our best in. Look at that for tyre difference, man. I'm just baffled by it every time I see it. Maybe it's the wings, maybe it's the setup as well, I don't know. But through the Singapore sling, there is absolutely no equal. There's no equal at all. But we've got 2 laps now to get past Norris and Stroll and get after our former teammate Pierre Gasly and really see what we can do in this race. Norris going a little bit defensive, but he's not got the inside line as aggressively as I have. And now it's time to chase after the first of 2 Aston Martins. This should be easy. Lance Stroll is possibly one of the first cars where we've come to overtake that doesn't have DRS. We've been doing all of these overtakes in the train. A lot of them are unorthodox corners as well. You'll have to let me know. Maybe timestamp the time of the overtake that you liked the most in the comments below. But it's going to be a pretty easy overtake on Lance Stroll, perhaps. Let's have a look. Maybe same place we did Tsunoda. Down the inside. Again, little bit of room given from both sides, but just not enough traction on that inside line there to get Stroll. But now we're going to use our speed advantage through the Singapore sling, braking late, trying to miss the wall as we do that. Pretty much inch perfect, I have to say. And now we just have 1.5 laps to try and get to Pierre Gasly, but he's 3.5 seconds up the road, which on the final lap we've reduced by over a second. And there's not much more we can do than that. We've left Norris and Stroll in our dust. They're 2.5 seconds behind us. Gasly's just had pretty decent pace, to be honest, and we came from, well, a long way back to clutch a P4 at the end of this race, end of Singapore. What a race.
All right, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
Yeah, don't sound excited, Mark. Did you not? I guess he was maybe on a tea break when the safety car came out. He should either be shouting and screaming at me or praising me.
And in the end, there was no Verstappen. Max Verstappen. He takes victory.
Indeed, I've heard that too many times now, Crofty. We're going to have to do something about it.
What a true show of character, to fight through the grid the way they did, to not get beat down by starting so far down, and to come back and win it all just goes to show how strong this driver is.
Yeah, I mean, didn't he start P2?
Here come today's winners. The team at Red Bull have done a phenomenal job recently, and it's clear to see that they've put in the work, and they should be so proud of the victory they've secured here.
I hate to break to you, Verstappen started P2 on the grid. He didn't really fight from really far back to get to the front. Unless maybe it was after the safety car. But Verstappen was right behind us at the start of the safety car. I don't know what they're talking about, man. But anyway, decent race. A little sad that we kind of lost everything to our former teammate at the end there. We could have been on the podium, but no dice.
It's been an absolutely wild weekend of Formula One action, and I can't wait to see what's next.
Indeed, started P4, finished P4. Verstappen takes P1 from P2. Again, not the greatest achievement, but Russell and then Gasly on the podium as well. We're there with fastest lap, which is pretty decent. And then Norris, Stroll, Magnussen, Tsunoda, Ricciardo, Piastri, Perez, Alonso, Sainz, Hamilton, Ocon, Albon, Hauger, Sargent, Hulkenberg, Pourchaire, Zhou Guanyu, and then F's in the chat for Charles Leclerc. Pretty savage, but yeah, a bit more of a lead in the Drivers' Championship. Norris is very close to Leclerc for that P2 spot, but we gained a couple points on Ferrari today. We'll just show you here. So we're ahead of Norris, so that's 3 points we've got on Norris, and Carlos Sainz didn't get any points. He finished P13, so somehow, even with the teammate retiring, we still got more points than Ferrari. So, decent result. Not much I can really complain about. Obviously, there's highlights here, if you want to watch those. We were 4 wide in turn 1. I didn't know that. That was crazy. What a way to start that race. But yeah, it all kind of came unraveling with the safety car and my very frustrated pause. So that was a move I didn't show you, actually. That was when I decided I had to change my brake bias. This is why you should stay to the end and watch the highlights, guys. Like, there's some stuff I don't show you because it's just not that exciting. There's the safety car moment. That could have so easily been race ending. But yeah, what a race. A memorable one. Not the way I wanted this race to go, but we're still in the lead of the championship with just 3 races remaining. The question is, can we also get the constructors? We need to keep chasing Ferrari. I think we need like 4 points a race. No. 4 points a race. How many is it? It's 20-point difference, so no, 7 points a race. So we've actually brought that down a bit. It used to be 8, right? So yeah, we've got some work to do, but it's still possible. So if you want to see what happens, subscribe. If you enjoyed, leave a like. As I said before, find your favorite overtake or favorite moment of the video and just timestamp it in the comments. And yeah, I'll see you guys in a couple of days for round 14, which I believe is Mexico.